Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming out to Speaker Rocket launch. And we're going to be talking about engagement a lot today. A lot of you guys have signed up for various lists that you were notified through for this event. We had a lot sign up. I was really honored by that. I'm really excited about it as well because you guys know that communication, that speaking, it's never going away. And the more we can leverage that, the greater the impact we're going to have, the greater the income that we're going to create as well. So I really appreciate you guys coming out today. I do not in any way take that for granted. All right. So as we get started, here's the promise. We're going to talk about old school speaking. We talk about the changing of the model. I think this is super important because I really don't believe there's any better time to get started as a speaker than right now. Now, old school has really gone away. New school is in full swing. We're going to talk about that shift. We're going to talk about the gift. And we're going to talk about the lift, which is really engage. And that's my system that I currently use, part of which actually got you here today. So I'm not using any sleight of hand, no magic, nothing undercover. Everything that I do is right up front. And I'm going to share with you my entire system today. And then at the very end, those of you who want to go farther and want to work with me personally, you'll have that opportunity to do that as well. But those of you who have been with me before realize that I'm not any sort of high pressure guy. I just want to lay it out there. And if you decide this is really what I really want to be a speaker and I want to use all the various venues and elements that I can to broadcast my message, then you're really going to love this today and you're going to love the extra training if you decide on that. There's a little bit of my background for those of you who may be new, because we do have some brand new folks on the webinar today. I began speaking at age 12, gave my very first speech, much to do, much to love, much to hope for. I still have those 355 cards, and I actually have pictures from the event. I'm 46 years old today. At age 16, I got paid for the first time as a speaker. And I'm not talking about I just participated in some sort of contest and got paid. I actually spoke in an event and got paid. At age 24 is when I really ramped up my speaking business. And some of you guys know this story. I'm not going to go into all these details today, but my first wife actually passed away in my arms. Our son was 5 weeks old at the time. I took that story and I began speaking to insurance groups, helping them with payouts to beneficiaries because I received such great service. And in fact, just a few days ago, I did my latest insurance gig. And I still love that industry, and I love being able to share with them in a powerful way and a valuable way that's going to help them. I've given at least 2,500 presentations. I've helped over 35,000 people become public speakers and to speak at a higher level. I do not consider myself a professional speaker. I consider myself a conversational speaker. If we were to sit down at lunch, I'd probably speak just the way that I'm talking right now. It'd be really similar. If you saw me on stage, it'd be real similar. And obviously at an event. Now, an event like this. Now, it's going to be a little bit different today because without an actual audience, I'm not cutting jokes. I'm not telling funny stories. A lot of that goes out the window because I love to see the audience, see the engagement, and be able to tell exactly what the live feedback is, right? So if you showed up today to really hear a comedy act, you'll have to come hear me live. I won't be doing that on the webinar. My keynote fee is $10,000 and I am a non-celebrity. And I think that is an important distinction because most people are not going to become celebrity speakers. A handful of you on the call today might, but by and large, most of us might have a book. We will have a website. We might do a podcast, might not. We'll host webinars like we're doing right now. But that doesn't mean that you can't command a good keynote fee. I will tell you that right now, as far as keynote fees go, a $2,500 realm, it's pretty easy to get booked at that level. And so if you start doing the math on that, then you really could make some serious income as a speaker, right? Just booking in at 2,500. But that's just a limited component of being a speaker today. And that's what excites me the most because I do a ton of speaking and all of it is not on stage. I very much consider what we're doing right now as part of me being a speaker. So we've got to broaden our horizons on what that means. Patty says, it would be a comedy act if I was to do that today. It'd have to be a sure enough act. And then he asked if it was my birthday. That was actually on June 21st. So mark that date down in your calendar. All gifts are accepted. And yes, cash is never wrong. So let's look at what we're going to do. Make sure that you're taking some notes. Pen, paper, and physical is pretty important. Everything will not be on the screen. So take notes. Here's one of the things that most of us are guilty on. Some of you guys aren't even looking at the screens. You're over on Facebook. You're reading your email, which is totally up to you. That will not hurt my feelings because I won't know. But I will not repeat things. So if you go, Paul, you mentioned such and such, what was that again? And you weren't paying attention, probably not going back to that. So I'm not saying that to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just saying take notes. That would be exactly what you need to do. And I think that writing things down is so much better than even typing notes in something like Word. So it works out really well if you'll just write down exactly what we're covering. Some of you may have participated in my speaker survey. The top question was, I would like to get paid to speak, yes or no? 93.92% said yes, that you would like to get paid to speak. I love that. I love that so many want to get paid to speak. Now, what I didn't ask was, do you want it to be full time? I had some different numbers in there about how much you might want to make or how much you're making now. But quite honestly, some of you would love to make an extra $100, $500 a month from speaking. Some of you guys would love to make a full-time living for speaking. And the great thing about it is that compared to a lot of things that are out there today, as far as making a living from home or on the road or whatever, I believe that speaking is one of the most valid because it can't be faked. You see, I could go out and get some content produced for me and put that out. No one would know if I could really produce it or not, right? Nobody would know that. But as a speaker, people know that it's you. They hear your voice, your style, your rhythm, your cadence, your vocabulary, your accent, even though I've remarkably been able to get rid of mine, but they hear all of that. And so that's what I love about speaking is it allows us to really connect with our audience. Survey also said two things. The last question was, or the next to the last question was asking about, what you really get the most from speaking. What do you like the most? And almost everybody said impact. At least that's my summary of it. I love to be able to connect with the crowd. I love to be able to share my knowledge. I love to be able to teach people new things. I love to be able to stand up and share something that people go out and do. See, that's impact. And that's one of the most valuable aspects of speaking because people can read a book and stay unemotionally connected to that at times. But when it comes to speaking, people really connect with us. And we actually get to see the impact that we have in the moment. When people come up afterwards and they say something super positive, or they say that, I really love what you shared, or this really made a difference to me. And all of that is extremely powerful. And others said, in addition to impact, they want to make income, which obviously I believe in as well. I think that it's perfectly fine if we want to speak free, but I think that there needs to be some sort of income that comes from that. Obviously, I'm encouraging that we actually go and speak and get paid on the spot. Impact is our responsibility as speakers. Income is the result of living out that responsibility. Whatever message you have to share, whether it is a step-by-step method or whether it is an inspirational story, whether it's motivation, whether it's education, it really doesn't matter. Our responsibility is to provide impact, to make a difference, to give people ideas or concepts to go out and live. We may educate. It may be that we equip. It may be that we entertain. All of those things are important for us as speakers. So impact equals our responsibility. I think we need to take that super serious. One of the ways that I did not market this event was as a make money quick or how to just make money as a speaker. It was called Impact Income. I had those things listed in the emails that went out. I had it in different ads that I had running. And I think that that's important because to me, speaking is not a catch or a trick or a gimmick. It's something that we do with our lives. So it's so much more important than a lot of these get rich quick schemes that are out there because we've got a responsibility to our audience. And then in comes the result. When we do a good job, guess what? We get paid. And in various forms. Maybe it's because we did a keynote. Maybe it's because we did a webinar. Maybe we've got a training that people decide they want to be part of. Maybe we do coaching. I can't tell you the number of times that I'm just speaking at an event and I have not mentioned any sort of coaching or consulting, and somebody comes up and said, how can I work with you personally? Or how can I get you to come and speak at my event or for my office or for my organization? What is that? It's a result. It's a result of living out that responsibility. And I know that you take yours seriously. So what do you believe is the hardest part about getting paid to speak? Why don't you type that in? Just use the Q&A area. You're not going to be able to see the responses of everybody else. So there's not an actual chat that's going on here. But if you would, just type in what you believe is the hardest part about getting paid to speak, right? Finding opportunities. I think that's super valid. Finding opportunities can be extremely difficult. Another one, finding speaking opportunities, booking a paid gig with the right audience, being booked by a group who's willing to pay you. That's a great point. How will potential people hear about me? Great. Getting the right gatekeepers or getting through the gatekeepers, agreeing to your fee, getting people to actually agree to what you want to get paid, getting paid for it. Everybody wants free. Getting booked with an ideal client, knowing how to submit a great proposal. All right, lots of great things. Okay, I'm going to close that out. And I think all of those are extremely valid. And guess what? We're going to be covering a lot of that today. A lot of those things that you just put in are going to be answered today. So make sure that you're taking notes, especially that about so many people want you to speak for free. Well, how can you leverage that into income? I'm going to show you how to do that today. This is especially designed for those making $0 to $5,000 a month. If you're making more than that a month as a speaker, I'm not saying you're not going to get anything, but you've got a great base that's already there. This is designed for those who are not making anything up to the $5,000 a month level. Now, in my survey, I think it was about 75% that actually took the survey were not making anything as a speaker. So I think this is going to be extremely helpful. Several of you are typing in right now. Say, yep, that'd be me. I'm right here in this category. Perfect. You're in the right place. And, you know, the numbers that we're looking at when we look at not making any as a speaker, hey, that's where we all begin, right? Some of us are doing a lot of speaking for free, and a lot of us would actually be able to make money, but we're just not charging. Maybe it's that we don't know how to ask for it, or maybe we're not even leveraging the free audiences that we do have. So what we really need is a clear system to follow, and we want to get booked solid. Now, I want you to listen close today because everything is not going to be traditional. Some of the ideas and concepts that I'm going to give you. If you've been in marketing for a while, you're going to be able to see how what you've already learned, you're going to be able to shift into this method. And for some of you, this is going to be brand new because we're going to broaden our definition of what it means to speak. We'll be moving fairly fast, even though I talk slow because I'm Southern. We'll be covering a lot of material along the way. And what I don't want to do is just bog you down for a long time. I'd rather for you to take notes, see what you connect with, and see where you need to go from here. So I mentioned we're going to talk about the shift, the gift, and the lift. So here's the shift. Number one, being a speaker. Back in the day, it really meant that you were going to be in behind a podium and you were going to be on a stage, and that was it. That was really the only definition of being a speaker. And most of us, even in this day and age, that's what we grew up with. We grew up with speaking and it being on a stage behind a podium with notes. And maybe if it got advanced a little later, you know, we had PowerPoint or we had a screen presentation. And so that definition of the old school has shifted because now just about everybody's a speaker. If you look on the average website out there or the average blogger out there, they'll say that they are a speaker. And chances are they've never been on a stage. Maybe they did a breakout session. Maybe they did a webinar. Maybe they do a podcast, but they define themselves as a speaker. anyone with a voice and a way to broadcast that is called a speaker today. There are not very many, quote, professional speakers. There are not a lot of people who all they do is just speak. Now, I'm a speaker, but I'm not always on stage. I have a lot of different venues that I use, a lot of different ways that I broadcast my message, and all of those are valid as a speaker. So I want you to make sure that you are defining speaker as broadly as possible for a couple of reasons. Some of you will say, well, I'm so scared to death of getting on stage, I don't think I could ever make money as a speaker. You may not ever get on stage and you would still be a speaker. A speaker is the person who loves to vocalize their message. You know, some people tend to be writers and some tend to be speakers. In the book Start, John Acuff said he had to answer the question, was he a speaker that writes or a writer that speaks? Well, he's a writer that speaks. I'm a speaker that rarely writes. I pretty much do talking. I would say 90% of everything that I publish is more verbal than anything else, and it is out loud. And so if you're a speaker, it's going to be various delivery methods. So think about speaking as you love to deliver your message out loud through your vocal cords. Now, as far as the stage or webinar, podcast, whatever, that's only a venue. It's only a delivery method. So do not let the delivery method define you. That's just the way that you broadcast your message. Secondly is meetings. Back in the day, meetings were going crazy. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, every company was having meetings. They still exist today, but for the most part, there's a lot of empty meetings. There's a lot of meetings that took place in the 90s and in the early 2000s that do not exist anymore. A big reason is because of the crash or the semi-depression that started in 2008, at least here in the States. And a lot of companies aren't doing those anymore. Plus, the advent of the online avenues have suddenly shifted the entire model. I've done a lot of webinar presenting for companies. And I've got friends that are doing like a 3 webinar package for like $7,500 to $10,000 for a company. You know, that's not bad money, right? I know somebody else that recently did an in-service for a school via Skype. Did an in-service for teachers via Skype for $8,000 for a 4-hour day. That's not bad. Now, would he say he's not a speaker? No, he'd say he's a speaker. Would I say I'm not a speaker because I'm doing webinars, you know, at a $7,500 or $10,000 rate? Yeah, I'd still say I'm a speaker. So the meetings may have decreased as far as live events filling actual seats, but virtual events are bigger than ever. And that's going to be a great source for your income. Getting booked. Back in the old days, you had an agent, and a lot of people are still in love with this. If I can get me an agent or be booked with a bureau and they're going to book me, and as long as I've got a good message, they'll go out there and do it. Not true. Speaking bureaus are a lot like literary agents. In the past, with a literary agent, if you had a great manuscript, you could get picked up. It can still happen today. It's extremely difficult. However, let's say that you already have 25,000, 100,000 Twitter followers. Let's say that you have 50,000 people on your email list. Chances are pretty high if you've got a good proposal that you can get a book deal. And you might be thinking, well, why would I need a book deal? I can sell my book myself. Exactly right. If you are already famous, already have a huge, quote, audience, you can get a bureau to pick you up. But if you don't have one, it's extremely difficult because today most people are booking themselves. They're listing themselves on speaker sites, and you can get some speaking gigs from that. But most of the time, we are booking ourselves. So, you know, that's something to think about. And I think that we've got to look at that. And we've got to be able to look at how we can leverage it to a greater level. So a lot of us are having to book ourselves. Now, it's not all the way across the board. Karen just made a great point. Not all agencies. She says that she has an agency and represents non-celebrity speakers at all levels. And so when you're looking at it, you got to look at that agency and say, will you do the work for me? Will you book me? Will you go out and do all of the contacting for me? Now, I've got an agent, but what she likes is for me to bring leads in and she closes the deal, which is a great, great arrangement. I love it, but I'm still having to produce a lot of the leads. Now, I'm also able to create a lot of leads on my own that works out really well. So here's the gift. So we just talked about the actual shift. And now here's the gift that we have today when it comes to speaking. Number one is clients. Our audience is so broad today. Back in the old days, you had to actually go out in front of that live event, that live audience, right? Well, now we've got a huge shift that's taken place. That's a gift for us. So that now we get to collect those names, those email addresses, the contact information, and it's allowing us to build our own audience, which I highly encourage you to do. Those of you who are speaking for free and you feel like, well, I'm doing this free gig, I can't get anybody to pay me. But if you're actually at an event with 10, 20 people, 100 people, 500 people, guess what? You can actually get those people into your audience so that you're creating the audience. You don't have to get back in front of them physically again. You can email them, you can contact them. The next time that you have something online, here's a person who heard you for free, and then you decide to hold an event that's $97 a ticket, but you're hosting a webinar. That person who heard you for free may pay you that 97, right? Now multiply that over 10s or 20s or 1,000, and suddenly it's a whole different game. Suddenly, whether or not you end up in front of a live audience is not quite as critical. Now, whether or not you end up in front of a live audience that pays you or not is not quite as critical, because the audience is just an opportunity for you to share your message, your responsibility, your impact, and then to bring them into your space so they get to hear from you over and over and over again. One of the things that I never liked in the early days of speaking is that I would often go to an event and I would speak, and that person might hear me once and hear the message once, and maybe they bought a book or a CD in the back of the room, but often that was it. That was the end of the contact. Today, they can become your Facebook friend, or they can like your Facebook page, or they can follow you on Twitter or Instagram. And now you're building an actual community that takes place. So that works out extremely well. Number two, another great gift is our content. You know, when we look at being a speaker, there's kind of a fine line. You know, if you went to somebody's speaker page and they had 100 different topics, you'd be going, there's no way this person can speak on 100 different topics. This is crazy. You know, usually there's 3 to 5, maybe 10 topics that are actually mentioned, because that's really what we tend to talk about, is the same areas over and over and over again. But one of the great blessings of today and a great gift of today is that if you're building that community, if you're building that client base, then you can continue to share your content. You can continue to have more and more events. You don't have to have the one speech that you travel around with, and you're welcome to do that. Obviously, that is certainly one model, but it could be that you take part of your content and you break it down. So when I'm talking to insurance agents, one of my points is that it's about providing, not just producing, because they're producers and they're closing deals. Now, what I can do is take that one point and I can have a separate webinar event just on that point, or a separate breakout session just on that point. And I could talk about what it means to the client for you to actually provide for us. You know, but if I was to take all 6 of those points and create 6 separate keynotes, it's going to confuse the person who's hiring me for that one event. But it's not going to be confusing at all if I say what you heard today, I actually have in a 6-week system, especially for life insurance agents. You know, that's going to make sense. So the content allows us to go a lot deeper than we would in a keynote. We can cover so much in an hour or 90 minutes. But over several events, we can really go deep with our clients, with our audience, and provide even more value. Number 3 is calendar. One of the things that I love the most about the gift of today's technology is that I get to control my calendar. We think about getting booked, and certainly we want to get a certain number of live events. But I can't tell you the number of speakers that I've talked to who are tired of being on the road. I took a big break from road speaking in the early 2000s simply because I was tired of flying everywhere all the time. Last year, I was gone a pretty good bit. I got exhausted again, but I can control my calendar. I can say, I'm going to do 10 live events a year, 20 live events a year, but I could easily host, let's say, 20, 25, 30 virtual events a year. It'd be super easy to do that. I could do an event like I'm doing right now once a week and make it a paid event and do it right here from the house, still speak, still have an impact, still create income, but I could actually control my calendar. I could sit down with my calendar right now over the next year and go ahead and set all of those dates up. If I can actually book myself, fill my calendar up, and even list those on my speaker site as event dates, even though I'm the one hosting the events. Now you might be going, well, Paul, that's so different because what I think about is other people booking me. Think about it this way. There's two types of models that are used for, let's say, a band. So let's say that you've got Aerosmith and they go out and they do a tour. Or you've got somebody like the group Alabama who's located in Myrtle Beach and everybody goes to them. So you can go on tour and you can go to your audience, or you can set up a location and your audience can come to you. You'll probably use both of those in your models. But we wouldn't say, Alabama's hosting their own events, so those events don't count. You'd go, no, they count, right? So even the events that you put on, that you host, even if they're virtual, you get to list those as speaking events as part of the number of times that you've been booked, even though you're booking yourself, because those are dates that have been taken up on your calendar. See, that's kind of hard for us as speakers because we usually feel like if we got booked by an outside agent, then I've actually got a booked date. But that's not the way that I see it. I was booked today. I booked this time at 3:00 today. I don't get to do anything else because I decided on this time. And you guys agreed to show up at this time. We've got a great number in attendance today. I'm super grateful for that. But you get to control your calendar and book your calendar. And number 4 is cash flow. There's more leverage today than there's ever been before because yes, you can get the keynote fee, but you can also design packages that allow you to follow up in ways that you couldn't before. So in the 90s, if I booked some follow-up events, guess what? I had to get on the plane again. Today, I can easily go and do the main core training, the core teaching, the core keynote, and then I can follow up with a certain number of webinars to really go deep in that training, right? Makes it super easy to do, and it's a great package to be able to provide. Then there are going to be those who never get to show up at the live event, but they love what you're standing for. They love your message. They love your content that you're sharing. And so they're going to buy based on the virtual aspect. Even some of you that are on the call right now, some of you have bought my digital products. Some of you have come and paid for webinars before. Some of you are actually coaching clients. So the cash flow that's created is in various forms, right? In my business, and it's also the type of business that you need to create. So yes, you want to have keynote fees, but that's only one part of your cash flow. You also want to be able to host follow-up events or stand-alone events or courses. Any of that is completely valid as being a speaker and controlling that cash flow. So that's a huge shift, and it's a huge gift for us today. So of what we've covered the most, what's maybe been the most helpful or has opened your eyes the most that maybe you've not thought about? It could be new or it could be a reminder. What stands out so far that you're going, yeah, I really like that concept, or that's something that I would really enjoy doing, or I'm seeing this in a new way that I've not seen before. So type that in that little question area real quick. Hey, Roy, good to hear from you, man. Roy says I can book myself. It's super important, guys. It's super important. And even when it comes to booking yourself, you'd be amazed at just how easy it is for us to get out there and do it physically and to be able to do it virtually. I'm reminded that non-stage speaking that I've done and thinking of it as such. Yeah, think of yourself, consider yourself a speaker, even if you're doing webinars. Now, some of you got scared because you're like, man, I've never considered webinar or podcast speaking. And suddenly my public speaking fear is at a new level. The reality of the shift in the calendar thought, so good. You're welcome. Stage is just one channel to speak through. Absolutely. List your hosted virtual events on your website. They are bookings. Absolutely, Dawn. Good. I'm glad you picked up on that. The new ideas in doing virtual events as well, not having a speaker's bureau necessarily. And there are a lot of people out there you can work with, Patty. And I think that it's super good to actually have an agent. You don't necessarily have to have one to begin with, but those are especially helpful when it comes to closing the deal and maximizing your high-end keynote fees. Connie says the definition of speaker. I realize I'm a speaker because I love to vocalize my message. Susan says, I love the way this opens up possibility as a calendaring, Southern, and settings. Event plus follow-up webinar. That's from Margaret. The new versus the old. The different opportunities for the limited situation. I love this. Ben says, I'm a trucker with a passion. Yeah, the great thing, Ben, is that when you're off the road, you could call it off-roading. So you've got this off-road event. All right, you're back. You did your turn. You get back in. Hey, we're off-roading. I'm off the road this week. I've been trucking back at the house. And this week, we're about to host our off-road with Ben Paulson. I love that. All right, great, guys. I'm so glad that you're picking up on those ideas and those tips. So now let's talk about lift. And this is my actual process. Now, I'll go ahead and be completely upfront with you. Everything that I'm about to cover will be somewhat of an overview. And if you want to go deep with it, I will offer some training at the end. That's totally up to you. But I want to be upfront with that so that you know exactly where I'm coming from. But a lot of you are going to get ideas right now, and you're going to say, I can go and do that. You're more than welcome to do it. Take it, go, use it, set up your business, and make sure that you just continue to grow as you become a speaker more and more. All right, so engage, impact, income. And I love the word engage because I think that that's the essence of what we do. We engage our audience, we challenge them, and we move them. So I've got 3 components to engage: your message, your market, and then monetizing. Your message is made up of your voice and your venue. Your market is made up of your audience, but also your automation. That's part of your marketing. And then being monetized means that you get paid. And I primarily mean through keynotes when I say paid, but then also products. So your product line that you create or your webinars that you create, any other way that you charge money. So message, market, and monetize. Make sure that you write those down. I'm going to keep coming back to these over and over again, so you'll have plenty of time to get these. So when it comes to our message, this is what we actually share. This could be our keynote. It could be our presentation, but it's the format in which we share our content for the betterment of lives. But your message also includes your voice, the way you sound, your style, what you bring to the table. All right. So I'm a hyperactive. And on a webinar, it's a lot harder for me to be hyperactive, quite honestly. But in a live event, I can be pretty off the charts and unmedicated, which some people are concerned about. My style is also that I am Southern. I don't change my vocabulary. I still use ain't. I do all of those kind of things. So that type of style is part of my message. It is my voice. People recognize my voice if they've heard me on a podcast or they've heard me live. And I've been places where somebody heard me talk out loud, like in a lobby somewhere, and they'll go, "Hey, are you Paul Evans?" And they may have never seen me, but they recognize the voice and that style. So that's a big part of our message is our voice. It has to do also with our confidence, with the way that we present, the things that we say, the things that we're known for. Those of you who have been on my regular email list for any length of time, no. In fact, let me do that. Let me do a little challenge real quick. How do I sign off on my regular emails on a lot of my videos outside of my speaker niche? Those of you who are familiar with me, how do I sign off? Just type that in real quick. All right. And there we go. Got two of them listed. This is constant. Be blessed. I say that a lot. And also, success is not an accident. I'm seeing that just keeps rolling through. Several people got that. Oh, tons have mentioned it. All right. Now, in my speaker's role, how do I sign off when I'm doing something related to public speaking, whether it's my Engage podcast or whether it's a video? All right. Those are coming in. There we go. Here it is. Speak with passion or just leave me a note. I've got several that have gotten that. I love this. Here's one. I thought it was something and then leave me a note. Yes, you got half of it. So speak with passion or leave me a note. All right. So that's part of my message, right? It's part of my voice. It's an anchor that people remember. So your voice is going to be an anchor for people. It is your presentation. It is your message. And sometimes it's even that tagline that people become familiar with and they connect with you. So message, voice, make sure you wrote that down. Next is your venues. So your venues are a lot of different things, guys. And let me see if I can pull this up real quick because I want to list some for you. Yeah, there we go. Let me move to some of these that I think I already drew out. Yeah. So you may want to draw these in. So you've got the podium. That's obviously your venue. The podium, the stage. There to the right, that little screen, that's like a webinar or your computer. I'm definitely not an artist. That's another venue. Bottom left is your phone. People can download podcasts. Some of you are attending this webinar from your phone right now. The little guy with the blue halo, that's just audio. Again, that could be podcast. That could be MP3s. And on the right bottom is video. So all of these are different venues. And what I would encourage you to do is select the ones that you love the most. If you want to speak on stage, circle the podium. If you want to do webinars, circle the screen. If you want to do MP3, circle that. You may circle all of them, but you don't have to. Here's what I want you to really hear. I want you to select the venue that you feel you are the strongest in. If you're strongest making videos that are screen capture and you do them live, you record them and then allow people to download those, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely zero wrong with it. That may be your strength. There's no reason for us to say, you know what, I stink as an onstage speaker, but that's what everybody thinks a speaker is, so I'm just going to go on stage. Listen, if you can record videos, share your message, do it. If that's your strength, do it that way. Do it in the way that you're going to be able to deliver the most value. That's what's important. The delivery method is not important. The value is important. The impact is important. So however you can deliver your message with the most value, that's the venue that you want to choose, and that's where you want to make your living. All right? So message includes your voice, and it includes your venue. Now, in just a little bit, as I step back through this, for those of you who want to stay longer and decide you want to take this deeper, in my training, I take you through each one of those aspects so that you can make it as strong as possible. Some of you haven't done a webinar before. I'd love to teach you how to do webinars. Some of you have not done a podcast before. I'd love to teach you how to do a podcast if that's what you'd like. Some of you have not done audio before. I don't think it's very difficult. I think anybody can learn that in just a couple of hours, but you may have never done it before and you've never edited audio. I would love to be able to teach you that. I've taught hundreds of people how to do that, and I'd love to do that as well. The marketing part of business is the part that most of us don't really like. We feel like we're blowing our own horn. It's a reason that most of us want agents, because we want somebody else to go and do this work for us. And I tell you what, I love that. I think that it's super attractive. I don't think that most of us are going to be able to create a full-time income by having somebody else in charge of all of our marketing right out of the gate. Now, if you got a big budget, hey, I think you can do it. But if you don't have a big budget, then I think that most likely you're going to have to do some marketing yourselves. Now, there's two components to marketing. Number one is your actual audience. It's building your audience. A lot of you came today because you were already in my audience. You received an email, you clicked a link, and you registered. Others of you came from Facebook. Others came from Google AdWords. Some of you came because somebody shared the announcement, right? So all of those built the audience. I do want to give you something that will help you picture this and understand exactly how you might do this and how this might look in your business, all right? So let me actually make this a little bit larger. Go full screen on this. So when you're thinking about building your audience, I want you to think about a few things here. Let me see. There we go. Go ahead and draw you 3 circles that are connected. And what I want you to think about is this. That there are really 3 types of ways to build this audience. Number one is borrowed. You can borrow somebody's audience. When you step on a stage, that's somebody else's audience you stepped in front of. Unless you held the event live, you borrowed that. If you get to do a guest post, guess what? You borrowed their audience. So think about live events, think about guest posts, and that allows you to actually borrow the audience because you didn't own it to begin with. You didn't possess it to begin with. Somebody else has the audience, and you're getting to borrow that audience. Secondly, is bought. You can buy the audience. And I don't mean that negatively whatsoever. That kind of sounds bad, but you think about Facebook ads, or you think about Google AdWords, like I just mentioned, or I'm about to rent somebody's list. I won't possess those names, but they rent their list out, and I will send out an email to about 15,000 speakers that will be invited to this webinar when I do it again. So I'm going to actually buy that. I'm going to spend money in order to gain the audience. And then there's brought. Now, the brought audience are things that are a little bit more under your control. So me sending out an email and getting you to register for this event, or people listening to my podcast. Or let's say that you've got several Kindle books and people read your book, they click the link, they go to your website, they sign up for your event. You brought them. So borrow, you can borrow the audience. Somebody already has the audience and you step in front of them. You can buy the audience through ads, through advertising, through renting lists. And then there's brought. You brought the audience through your own email list, or you brought them through another means like Kindle or like podcast or any other avenue, or maybe it's search engine traffic, but it was brought that way. So when you're thinking about building your audience, think about those components, and it can be extremely helpful for you because it allows you to now have the opportunity to, instead of always having to go to the audience, you continue to bring the audience to you, the audience to you, the audience to you. It's really that Branson, Missouri model or Myrtle Beach model where you kind of set up the theater and people come and buy tickets to your show. They buy tickets to your keynote. They buy tickets to your webinar that you're hosting online. Or even if you decide to have a live event hosted at a hotel, you're still in control of that venue because you have access to the audience. It's one of the strongest changes over the past 15 years. And I would encourage you that anytime you speak, you make sure you collect as many names and email addresses as possible because you want to build your audience. Now, after the audience is automation. This is something that we think about as far as in marketing, we might call it our marketing funnel. I don't really like that too much because I believe a lot more in engagement. How can I help people decide if we're right for each other? How can I make sure that not that they stay with me because I may not be right for them. How can I help them decide whether or not to stay on my list, whether or not to stay in my space, whether or not to attend my webinars? I want them to be able to make that decision. And I think that it makes a big, big difference. So when you think about that, then you start shaping it. So Deepak has a great, great question here. How do you make sure that it's the right audience for you? I think that you make that decision. For example, who is this presentation for today? It's obviously for speakers or people who want to speak. It's obviously for those making 0 to 5,000. I even had that on the ad. I had it in emails. So it's pretty clear that it was the right audience. Now, let's say that somebody showed up today's making 100,000 a month as a speaker. They probably still already received some ideas. Chances are they're not automating as good as they could be, and they're not leveraging webinars as much as they should be. Maybe, they may not be there, but I've got another program I'm working on that's going to work for those higher levels, for the more advanced levels. But when we get started, what we want to do is make sure that we are inviting people that we feel very connected with. When I'm inviting people to my presentation called Super Agent, which is very specifically, it's for life insurance agents. Does that mean that other people can't learn from it? Sure, they can. A lot of salesmen can learn from it, but it's designed for a specific area. So you actually get to decide on that market. So with automation, what we want to do is make sure that we're making it as easy as possible for people to decide to be with us, but also making it as easy as possible for people to hear our message in the various forms. So they may come to our website, or they may go to a lead page like you guys did, sign up for an event, or sign up for a special report, which speakers tend not to do quite as much. Maybe they sign up and get a video. Some of you who originally ended up on my Engage list at my site, paulbevans.com, you signed up for Engage and you got a video presentation. So that was part of me saying, hey, here's what I do. And it gave you the opportunity to say, yeah, this guy's for me, or no, you know what? I'm not sure about this style. I'm not sure I want to be this type of speaker. So your automated process, you invite your audience to become part of a deeper audience. So your collective audience could be on Facebook, could be in a live venue. You invite them to go to a web page. I even do this live. Go and sign up for my newsletter, or if you're interested in the complete notes for Super Agent, go to superagentlifeinsurance.com, or Life Insurance Super Agent, I think is the actual domain, lifeinsurancesuperagent.com. All right. So that's a giveaway for them that builds my audience. So what happens next? They get a welcome message that says, hey, thank you for being part of Super Agent. Thank you for wanting to be a super agent. And then after that, there's a series of follow-up messages, some of which invite them to other events, and some of which invite them for coaching or for consulting to help them build their business even greater one-on-one or in a coaching group. But all of that's automated. If I tried to follow up with every single audience member, that would be impossible, right? If every time I held a webinar, I emailed each person individually, it could not happen. It's got to be automated. If I tried to keep up with manually what each person had purchased and what they hadn't purchased, or where they needed to go next according to the purchase they just made, I couldn't keep up with all that. But automation allows all of that to take place without having to think and without having to process it all of the time. So your marketing includes building your audience and putting them in an automated system, not to make it completely hands off, because you're still doing live events, or they're still getting your videos, or they're part of your community, but it's making sure that they're able to get all of the offers that you're making. And then monetize. When we actually monetize our message, then we're going to do this in a way that is going to obviously make us an income, which I think is fair and equitable. I don't think it's right for people to expect us to share our message without any compensation. For example, those of you who are speaking for free, you could say, yeah, I'll speak for free, but I'm going to need the mailing address of everybody in attendance, because we can still mail people. It's not going to be spam. So you could mail them physically, and then you could invite them to sign up. Or I need to make sure that since I'm speaking for free, that I'm going to have the opportunity to invite everyone there to become part of my newsletter. I don't ever have anybody turn me down for that because it's for free. And if they say, no, we're not going to be able to do that, we just want you to speak for free, then I would set, a minimum fee for them that offsets them not allowing you to do that. So we want to monetize our message. So we do this obviously by getting paid in various forms. So let me give you this thought. One, you need to set your keynote fees, period. I'd encourage you to set it right now. In fact, type it in. If you've got a current keynote fee, type it in. If you don't have one, make it up right now. Somebody said, we want you to come speak at our event. You're going to speak for 45 minutes to an hour. What do you charge? What do you tell people? Type it in. All right. Patty says 2,500. I love it. One says no idea. 5,500, 2,000, 1,000 pounds. What else? All right. One says, I don't have one, but is 1,500 a good place to start for 45 minutes? I think it's fine. I think it's whatever you're comfortable with. Here's one thing that I know. You've got to be able to say that number without batting an eyelash, without raising an eyebrow. $5,000, $2,740, $3,000, $2K, $5,000. 250. Ben says truckers are cheap. Hope you don't mind me saying your name there, Ben, but 250. That may be it. Whatever you feel comfortable with. And those were all keynote fees. That's what I wanted to know. Now let's talk about webinars. If you're going to host a webinar, what do you feel comfortable charging for a 1-hour webinar on your topic? You're going to invite people individually. They're going to be on your list. You're hosting a webinar. So it's not a company that's paying you. It's going to be an individual that comes in. All right. 47 pounds, 47, 97, 197. Let's see what else. All right. 67, 77, 497. Good. Love it. I love that. So, super good. Patty says, I'm working with a local biz. Should I do the first one free and then charge? Patty, that's a great question. And in the follow-up training, for those of you who want to be part of it, this section on monetization is called paid. And I take you step by step from when I first started speaking to insurance agents. And I did 2 talks for free and leveraged that into getting paid $1,000 right after that. So I'm going to share with you that complete system in paid if you're wanting to see that detail. And it's super easy. And I will tell you this right off the bat. I did not book myself. I had somebody else book me. I called them amateur agents. I had some friends in the industry and I called them up and I said, you are in charge of booking me. If there's one thing I'd love for you to walk away with from today is you calling up one of your friends in an area that you feel confident in and you say, hey, you're in charge of booking me. Get me somewhere in the next couple of weeks. Now that may be totally free, but you get them to book you. And in paid, I step by step you exactly how to end up leveraging that even greater. Perfect. All right. And 99 and then an upsell. Charmaine says, what do you think about a special for 99 and then an upsell? I love it. See, this is the great thing about speaking today. You get to do it any way that you want to. You could say, hey, it's 99 and this is the video course. And if you would like to work with me, it's only $500 for the next month. That'd be a great upsell. It's fit perfect. So monetize is paid and then also products. Now here's my actual paid product that's part of my Engage program that if you decided to become part of that, you'd actually get this. So it's got those 6 modules, the foundations, prospects, aim, impact, double down, and fee maximizers. It includes the follow-up machine and booked, et cetera. But I'm not saying that to sell you right now. I'm saying that to say these are products. That's another part of how you monetize is that you've got products. Now, in the old days, speakers had the physical products in the back of the room. They still do, and you're more than welcome to do that. I will tell you that personally, I don't do that. I do not travel with any physical products. I let people sign up and pay online and go and access it digitally. Now, Paul, aren't you missing out on some possible profits? Yes, but I'm not missing out on any sort of inventory, even if it's drop shipped. I'm not missing out on having to keep up with anything. If somebody wanted something physical, then I would actually work that deal out with the promoter at the very beginning and allow it all to be drop shipped to him or her and allow them to handle all the details. But see, that's me. Because see, here's the great thing is that you get to create your own speaking business. And this just happens to be the way that I create mine. So when you create a product, then it's going to allow you to continue to maximize your fees because you're not limited simply to a keynote fee, that now you've got people that may never end up in a live audience that are able to learn from you and are able to take you every single place that they go. Awesome. Got several saying this is a great idea. Love that. Oh, this is another great idea. This is from Denny. Denny says, I've got a big conference coming up. I was thinking about thumb drives. I love that idea. I think it's great. If you like it and if your audience will feel, well, that's super valuable. I'm getting to walk away with this thumb drive. I put it in my computer. I've got everything. I say go for it. Do it. I think that'd be perfect for you. So monetization's made up of getting paid, and then it's also made up of products. All right. So what do you think that you need to focus on the most out of everything that we just covered? And that was a pretty good bit, I'll admit. But out of your message, your marketing, and monetization. So let's limit to those three. Your message, do you need to become a better speaker? Your marketing, do you need to actually market yourself better and build your audience? Or monetization, you feel like you're a good speaker, you even have a pretty decent audience, but you're not making enough money because you're not leveraging that. So what do you need to work on most? Automation of marketing. Another one says marketing and monetization. Marketing, monetization, message, marketing, monetization, then marketing, then message. Awesome. Monetization, marketing and monetization, message and marketing. I need to become a speaker, period, but monetization would be a biggie. Another, monetize. All of the above. I love it. Not losing track of the leads who are interested in the future. I love that. Good. Scott says mindset, which to me is really part of message, because that's part of becoming a strong speaker and confident speaker. And that confidence as a speaker blends into these other areas as well. Because think about it. When you're confident about that message, you're pretty excited about marketing because you think everybody needs it. Okay, so the next step, we covered a ton of area today, guys. And some of you may want to take this farther. And it's totally up to you. And if you've gotten the training so far and you're ready to opt out and you've got things to do, you're more than welcome to leave, because what we're about to do is not for everybody. But I'd love to work with some of you more closely if you want to. So I'm going to go through this, and then at the very end, I'll take some questions to explain anything or even explain anything that we've covered so far. So totally up to you on that. So everything that we've covered, you can certainly do your own way. But I found that for most people, it's kind of slow. You can do it, but it tends to be a little bit slow. It also tends to be a little bit trial and error. And I've done a lot of that work for you. I found out a lot of things that just don't work. I've been online doing business, and I've been a speaker since the age of 12, obviously, but more of a traditional speaker from the time that I was probably around 21 and then really hitting that stride at 24. But I've been doing things online since 1997. Or you can do it the fast way. And so I'd love to show you how to do it the fast way. So message, market, monetization, voice, venue, audience, automation, and paid. So let's walk through these so you see exactly what you get. Voice is your one resonance. I'm going to teach you how to discover, develop, and deploy your voice. I'm going to give you my perfect presentation. Patty asked earlier, was this instant speaking success? That's what the perfect presentation is. It's the 7 steps to move you from dull to dynamic. It is exactly what I use for every single speech I give. In fact, if you were to take the perfect presentation and go back through this webinar today, you'd say Paul walks his talk. He does exactly what he teaches. And that's true. So I give you my exact system. And the perfect presentation alone is 2 hours of training. So let me tell you that. Discover, develop, and deploy your voice. That's an hour of training. Strong speaking is about 15 modules on becoming a confident speaker. It's about 2 hours of content. Confessions of a Renegade Speaker. These are some kind of off the wall thoughts and ideas that will help you take some more risk and some more chances as a speaker. May not be for everybody. And then Speak Easy. If you're wondering how speakers put together their talks, certainly the perfect presentation is going to show you that. But Speak Easy, you actually look over my shoulder. Now, another thing about perfect presentation is that it's a recording of a live event and a live webinar. And on that webinar, I took topics and we chose one and built the speech live. So I want you to know how easy it is. So you may have your one core speech that you give, and you may be thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do all these other webinars on. I don't know how I'm going to create all these products. You get to use the perfect presentation for that, and you're going to get to see how easy it is. The great thing about webinars or podcast or any other method that you choose is that you get to go so deep with it. You get to make it so strong. Venue is your stadium. Now, this is going to take place July 28th. This is not already recorded because we're going to do this training live. I'm going to talk about moving your audience from live venues to online venues, from keynotes and breakouts. We're going to talk about webinar systems, exactly how to do those. I'm going to cover all the mechanics of it. I'm going to teach you how to do podcasts, how to do video, and any other way that you want to deliver your message. I'm going to teach you that. That's what it does not exist yet. So we're going to be doing that on July the 28th. Everything that I covered just a second ago, all of this already exists. So if you decide to become part of Engage today, you get all of this. This is training on July 28th. It will all be recorded. It'll be placed in the membership area. Audience, these are your evangelists. These are also your buyers, your clients. But I like evangelists because here's the truth. As a speaker, if someone enjoys you, they tell other people about you. Right? So this training takes place August the 4th. We're going to cover the traffic triad in depth. Borrowed, brought, and bought. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. How to use Facebook and AdWords. How to get joint venture partners or do guest posts if you're wanting, to borrow somebody else's and leverage their audience. How to do live events if you're interested in doing that. And then audience flow, making sure that you're moving people according to their interest and leveraging that the most. So really, when you think about your audience, this is going to teach you on August 4th how to build it, how to grow your audience. And I've got several audiences, and not all of those are huge. I've got maybe 10,000 people that are on a very specific public speaking training list. I have about 20,000 people who are in my goal setting list. I have 35,000 people who are on my youth ministry list. All right. So those are 3 different audiences of different levels. But guess what? I get to email them and invite them to events, obviously. So impact income. So I'm going to teach you all about building your audience. Automation. This is going to take place August the 11th. I'm going to show you a money map process. Your marketing machine, how to really ratchet it up. I'm going to teach you all of the mechanics. That's the system setup. I'm going to teach you all the mechanics. So if you don't know how to do a lead page, if you don't know how to use an autoresponder, if you don't know how to tie it all together, if you don't know how to move one person from one list to another list automatically, I'm going to teach you how to do all of that. How to create an audience track that's going to fit your business so that when they get on your email list, they go through the right sequence for you. I'm going to teach you about the number one solution system. This is what gets people and attracts them to you and gets them to opt in and become part of your audience. And then how to automate that entire system so you don't have to think about it. And the products that you're going to end up creating, that you're going to introduce all of those through automation so that you're not constantly having to keep up with who's gotten what, who's bought what, where are they in the process. You'll get all of that. Paid already exists. You will access this instantly. And this is going to teach you about amateur agents. The image that you saw earlier, underpaid or under products, that you saw all of those modules, that's what you'll be getting. How to get paid at 3 engagements and even more at 4 engagements. That's for live events. 12 keys to maximize your fees. Getting more bookings, how to leverage one booking and get more out of it. And this is for speaking live. Perfect testimonial letters. These are so critical, guys. This is what's going to help you get booked more and more. If you're actually wanting to get booked on the stage, Your testimonial letters are extremely powerful. I've got a testimonial letter that inside of Paid, you actually get to step by step through it. I show you every single component of it, why it was so strong. And yes, when you ask your buyer or you ask the person who hired you to speak for a testimonial letter, you're more than welcome to say, here are the components that I want in it. The follow-up machine. This is actually a bonus that's part of Paid, and it's going to show you how to follow up from events and also booking, how to just continue to get more and more bookings and leverage more and more bookings. So all of that will be instant access. So those of you who are speaking for free and you want to get paid, this is going to be perfect for you. Those of you who have not been speaking at all and want to get paid quickly, this is a step-by-step process that you will absolutely love. Products, your 97 to 997 product. Now, some of you may have actually be part of Signature product. And if you are, then I want you to email me because I want to discount you for Engage because you already own this. So this is Signature product. It's a standalone product that sells for $997 all by itself. So it's going to teach you content drafting, core concept, monetization matrix, packaging and producing, inexpensively, simple, low-tech ways to deliver. So if you're wanting to create digital products in the $97 to $997 range, this is going to teach you how to do it. And that's what I recommend. I do not recommend you start with a $7 ebook or a $20 ebook. Not as a speaker, I don't. If you're going to be a marketer, if you're going to be an author, I think that's fine. But as a speaker, I think you need to start in the 97 to 997 range, and that needs to be your signature product. So when people say, "Hey, I want to, I want to learn more about what you do," you can say, "Hey, well, I've got my signature product, which is called X, and it sells for $97 or sells for $497." And you think about that when you're getting booked by an agency or an organization, and they see that you have material for $997. Now, how easy to say, "Hey, I'll come and do your keynote for free." But how about buying this product for every audience member? I'll discount it from $97 down to $497 per audience member, or down to $97 per audience member, or down to $47 per audience member. You get to do all of that you want to, right? But that could easily be a way that you get paid without getting your fee. Because some people will say, "Hey, our organization doesn't pay keynote fees, but we do have an education budget." All right, so this is just an option, but it's also a huge credibility builder. You may not be a celebrity speaker, but if you've got a $1,000 product, that's some pretty strong credibility that you know your stuff. That definitely places you in the authority range. All right. So obviously, there are some bonuses. Raw results is about productivity. If you have a challenge being productive, and that already exists, then I'm going to host 4 additional trainings. I don't have the dates on this yet, but 4 additional trainings: how to be funny even if you're not, how to get over the fear of public speaking, calendar control, how to make sure that you're booking yourself in a way, even if you're just booking your own event dates, how to do this in a way that's going to be the most productive for you. And you can't be launching every week. You can't necessarily do an event and really have a lot of buy-in every week. So I'm going to teach you how to control your calendar, have the ebb and flow there. And then the legend model. This is the last thing that we'll cover. But the legend model is going to take you to that highest level so that you've created such a strong business that you're going to break through that $5,000 a month level, and you're just going to continue to build up. And that's what the legend model is. But I want to make sure that you've got everything else in place first so that you're actually able to take advantage of that. Awesome. Everything, Patty, will be recorded. Everything is going to be recorded. Let's see. All right. So the total value of everything that we just covered is what? $3,979, something along those lines. If I added all that up correctly, if I was to package, and actually I'm going to package this at $997, you're not going to pay that. But after this event, when I get everything totally recorded and it's all in the members area, this is going to be $997. You're more than welcome to wait till then. You're more than welcome. But I have no doubts about the value of this system and how it's going to help so many speakers become a better communicator, market themselves more effectively, and make more money. I absolutely believe in it because it's what I do. So for today, it's $497. You do need to use a coupon. Because when you go to engage-members.com/start, you've got to use the coupon engage to get the discount. It's going to wipe $500 off of it immediately. So engage-members.com/start. You're going to get all of those extra live events on the dates that you saw. And I've already got those inside the members area, and you'll register for each one. Those of you who've been with me before know that I'm super prone to do Q&A sessions that were not mentioned. So I'm probably going to have some bonus sessions in there to make sure that everybody gets every ounce of understanding with everything that we cover. So if you go to engage-members.com/start, use the coupon engage, and you're going to put it right there in the little apply area. Put engage in, click apply, and it's going to drop you from $9.97 down to $4.97. So I'm just going to hang out on this page, but I am going to scroll through and see if you have any questions. Susan, I love this. She says, thank you for sharing this information. Is priceless. You're welcome, Susan. Thank you. Thank you for coming out today. I certainly hope this has been incredibly helpful for you. If you've got any questions about anything that I've shared, and some of you are going to wonder, what's the deadline for this? I don't have a deadline right now as far as when I'm going to cut this off. It could be Monday or Tuesday of next week. But I may do it this weekend if I get a lot of folks in and I feel like, all right, this is it. This is all that I can really serve right now. I don't feel comfortable going beyond this. Then I may go ahead and cut it off. But the truth is, all of that previous information is already in there. Dawn, the extra sessions are going to, the extra sessions that I mentioned are all going to run about 2 hours each minimum. I would say it's going to end up being closer to 4 hours with questions and additional training. So you are going to end up with a massive system here, but you're not going to have to use all of it. Some of you are going to want to buy traffic, and that's where you're going to spend your time. Others of you are going to want to use borrowed traffic, and that's where you'll spend your time. So that will be good. Patty says, I'm coming on for sure, ready to take my speaking to the next level. Awesome, Patty. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you're going to be part of this. It's going to be awesome. Loving it. And let me scroll back through just a second, because I do want you to see, again, what's already in there. So all of voice is already in there. Venue will be live and recorded. Audience live and recorded. Automation live and recorded. Paid is already in there. You can use it immediately. And how to create high-end products is already in there, and you can use it immediately as well. So be sure to jump in there and get going with that. I love this. Let's see. This is so good. Possibly the most rewarding and non-pitchy webinar I've ever been on. So cool, sir. Thank you. Looking forward to working with you. Love it, love it, love it. Good. I'm on your list. Awesome. Thank you, Denny. I really appreciate that. Awesome. Love that. Dawn says, I'm so excited to work with you. Love it, Dawn. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. So glad that you're going to be part of this. Again, engage-members.com/start. The coupon code is ENGAGE. You are welcome, Marlene. You're welcome. Thank you. Any questions that you have about any of the material, any questions that you have about the Engage membership site? I say membership, it's because it'll be behind closed doors, but it's just a one-time $4.97. There's not an ongoing charge for that. Roy says, I got my sons listening too. Good. Hey, Roy, they stay awake? Didn't knock them out? I usually tell people I've got an awake factor of 14%. And sometimes people say, yeah, I stayed awake. Okay, good. I'll say, good. I only fell asleep twice myself. Awesome, Roy. Appreciate it, brother. Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Love it. All right. Well, there will be a recording, and I will be sending that out probably tonight. So be looking for that. But I love for all of you. I want to welcome so many that have already jumped on board. But engage-members.com/start, coupon code engage. Hey guys, thank you for coming out today. As always, success is not an accident. And speak with passion or just leave me a note.